I wanted to say, first of all, good morning. Happy Black and Media Day. Happy Friday. This is our Black and Media Day is an annual event. Clearly, I've been sending email blasts and everything out over the last couple of days, just kind of updating everybody on what we're working on this year. But for those that don't know, maybe this is your first time attending a Black and Media event. Black and Media is an organization, I call it a media brand and also just a community that I founded last summer. And I basically, it was during that whole moment of the media reckoning and just realizing that, okay, Black trauma's trending again, great. I've been in media I didn't even say my name. My name is Treye Green, and I'm the founder of Black and Media. I'm also a journalist, and I've worked in media. I've been in the industry almost, close to 15 years now. And during the whole reckoning moment, I realized that, Black trauma is trending. We've been going through these issues. Black media professionals have been facing microaggressions, systemic racism, all those things that hamper, our careers. They cause us unnecessary stress. But I also realized that this is going to be fleeting. We've seen this happen before. We won't be in the headlines come July. And that's exactly what happened. The stories trickled off. And I wanted to create a space where we could celebrate ourselves year around, celebrate the content that we've been making for decades, honestly, centuries at this point, about Blackness, and the fact that even though we're facing very, very tough challenges in the media industry as Black folk, we're still creating some dope stuff all the time. We're still powering through. And I felt like there was an absence of that story, and there was an absence of a place to celebrate that as well. So that's what Black and Media Day is about, is a social media campaign. I sent an email out to everybody that registered for this event to be able to participate in the campaign. But I'm also going to drop a link to how you can, just the graphics and everything that you can share on your social media accounts today to commemorate and celebrate Black and Media Day. Today is also Ida B. Wells' birthday, and I chose July 16th for Black and Media Day specifically to honor her legacy and the work that she did as an investigative journalist to reveal and tell and shout out the stories that and the issues that Black people were facing at the time that she was doing her groundbreaking work as an investigative journalist. So yes, we also decided this year, I was like, you know what? We about to up the game. We about to do something new. So I was like, let's do a summit. Let me pull together some people that inspire me, that I either have worked with, are friends, colleagues in some way. A lot of people I haven't even ever met in person before, but I've seen their work. I wanted to pull together Black media professionals because another piece of Black and media is professional development. That's something that I would consider the foundation of what we do. So that's what this summit is today, is just to kind of offer a place to, I would say, just kind of revel, and a place to learn, and a space to just be happy and enjoy the fact that, no matter what challenges we're facing in this industry, we're still surviving, we're thriving. We are not our trauma. We are the dope stuff that we make and we contribute to. So and I'll add that my idea and kind of the mission for Black and Media Day and the Black and Media Summit is, this space is Black trauma free, and it is Black triumph abundant. So today is about what we do great. Our trauma is important. It's a vital piece of what we go through, and it's a vital piece of our story. But I think it's also important to, within that trauma, make space for the great things that we create and the work that we do through that. So yes, that was my quick kind of overview of what Black and Media is. I have my social, like my email, if you have questions or you want to reach out. And for this first panel, our first chat, I'll say, I really wanted to kind of just, I would say, kind of set the tone for the day. We basically, I came up with the idea of like, okay, let's talk about purpose. I think that's something that drives a lot of Black media professionals' careers. And that's what kind of anchors us into this industry. So, me, and then I also want to give a shout out to Brianna Tripp. She also helped plan and pull all this together. She is our programming manager. And when we were talking, we were like, who would be great for this? Miss Gia. So, I'm going to pull up Gia Peppers, and she's who's going to be, helping us talk through this opening chat. So yes, there is Miss Gia.
Hi.
And thank you for joining us today. Gia is, just to give you a quick rundown, and I have her socials at the bottom of the screen as well, so you can kind of do some more research, but she does it all. She is truly, I just found out about the word multi-hyphenate like last year, and I was like, how did I miss this word being created? But she is truly a multi-hyphenate host, entertainment journalist. Clearly, she is giving you bomb-ass backdrop. Like, she does it all. And she, I think, is a great representation of really making your work align with your purpose and kind of what you feel like you're here to do. And that's why I wanted to open with her. And also just the fact that she's somebody that I've known for a minute now.
Yeah.
And it's been exciting watching her growth.
Ooh, let me get this right. Hi, Trey.
Hello, Gia. How are you this morning? I can hear you fine.
Okay. I'm doing well. I'm so proud of you. I love what you said about the abundant triumphs. Like, that is everything. So I'm so proud of you. Congratulations on this summit. Shout out to Brianna. Y'all did that. And thank you for having me this morning.
Definitely. And just to start the chat, I know that in a lot of cases, we all define purpose differently, Yeah. And just to kind of level set, I want you to tell us how do you define purpose in what you do?
Yes. So for me, I think the definition of purpose is why you're here, why you exist, why you continue to have breath in your lungs, why you continue to be able to wake up and see another day and get another opportunity. It's your why, it's your fuel, and it determines how you show up in the world. For me, I have also noticed that purpose has many iterations, right? Like, I think the multi-hyphenate creative is something that I've always been purposed to be. Like, even when I was a little kid, I would always host. I couldn't do time out because I would be hosting talk shows in my room with my dolls and my stuffed animals. Like, my mom was like, wow, I'm really going to have to spank her. Sorry. I mean, no shade, no tea. I grew up getting spanked. Okay. But I do think that, that I knew that in my world, I could create anything I wanted. And in my world, I created stages for myself on the middle of my bedroom floor. And I was, singing to thousands of people in the crowd of, those dreams, right? Like, we all were those kids in the 2000s. Wasn't no internet. We was performing, honey. We were giving life in our room. There was none of that, right?
Tickets were sold, okay? So we had to give them what they wanted.
We had to give the brushes where the mics, like, they were testing at all times. Hello. Turn me up, mic.
Exactly.
We had to give what needed to be gave. But I think purpose is your why, your reason. And I think it's evolutionary. I think it evolves because we also will have different chapters and seasons in our life. Like, hopefully one of my purposes will soon be to be a wife and mother in Jesus' name. You know what I'm saying? So like that, but right now, being a creative and being a journalist and a content creator is one of my favorite things to do and be. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be, it's like a really great, it's one of those really great things that I think you have space to define for yourself. But I think the main reason is why you're here is the definition of purpose.
And, going through media is tough. This is a tough industry. And I try to be honest with anybody, the new class making their way in, that I think a lot of times there's always been barriers specifically for Black people in this industry. But one of the biggest barriers I always remember facing, and it seems small, but if you don't catch it early, it can eat away at your confidence and you really owning what you want to do and feeling like that is a possibility. A lot of naysayers. I remember being in undergrad and professors or people that worked in like the career office and stuff, kind of questioning, oh, you want to go to New York? why aren't you trying to go to a smaller market first?
Mm-hmm.
Luckily I was blessed enough that it worked out and I did my part. But what would you say about, how do you stay just confident in your purpose, and more so, what advice would you give to people that may face those naysayers? And like I said, a lot of times that can eat away at people's confidence and make them question what they want to do.
Amen. No's have eaten away at my confidence for most of I would say the last decade of my career. It became something that I started to dim my own light in a response to. And I had to learn that, and I'm still learning that there is a practice of confidence. There is a practice of tapping back into your why. There is a practice of continuously reminding yourself in the midst of a world, not just like media, the world where you turn on the news sometimes and you see people literally shouting in the streets that my life matters. I'm a Black person, my life matters, right? Like there is a lot that, especially if you're in the newsroom right now, you have to practice affirmations and speaking life over yourself and believing in something bigger, because there are too many things that happen consistently that try to knock you off of your why and why you're doing what you're here to do. So that's one of the things that I've always kept in mind, is that when I do feel out of alignment, or I do feel like my mind is the negative little patterns that are weird that are happening, and I'm like, wait a minute, I can't even, that's not me. What is that? What am I tapping into right now? Like, you have to watch what you practice. You have to watch what you say to yourself, and you have to watch what you are saying and doing and being within other circles as well. And so I think that the no's are redirections. As much as cliche as that sounds, no's are redirections to where you're supposed to be in that time, in that space, in that season. And so if you aren't where your exact plan, which good luck following your plan to the T in this industry, honey, you better be flexible and be ready for a pivot. Is to understand that if you're not ready, then it's not going to happen. When you are ready, it will happen. And you just have to trust it. Like, you have to trust your process. You have to trust what you believe. Because if you don't, you'll be caught up in so many different things that have everything to do with throwing you off of your purpose. So just be mindful of that, because naysayers a lot of the times think that they are helping you, because what they went through in that time was someone told them that they couldn't move to New York yet because they didn't get what New York would mean. Honey, when you move to New York's going to teach you everything you need to know. It's going to chew you up, spit you out, and then you'll become a stronger and more focused person. You'll become more hungry. I'm from Washington, D.C. myself. And, I had the really great opportunity to have a little bit of access to a city. So I wasn't super scared of New York when I moved here. And I went to university, and I literally, would intern every single chance I could in the city, so I could understand the vibe and what I was getting into. But New York is the major market, and I was like, I'm not moving back to anywhere. I'm moving right up the street to Brooklyn, and I'm gonna figure it out. And the hard thing about figuring it out is that it's not an easy thing. Like, it's easy to say, but when you're figuring it out and you feel lost and confused and sad, that's also a part of the process. And so I just hope that for anybody out there who is trying to understand why everyone is saying no to them, remember why you said yes to this dream. Remember why you said yes to this career. Remember what stories that you wanted to tell. Remember what voice that you wanted to represent. Remember the story that you saw reported completely wrong, or the headline that really made you almost delete Twitter, and why you knew you could do it better, right? Because at the end of the day, this journey and career path is going to be filled with ups and downs. And the people who are at the top, or where you want to be, they just didn't give up when those downs came.
Yeah. No, that's so key. I love that line. Remember why you said yes.
Yeah.
To this dream or to this journey. Because at the end of the day, it's your life.
It's your
So,
life. Like you could go back to whatever you were doing before you decided to go whatever. We all had that other thing like, okay, if it don't work out, I'm gonna go ahead and just, work in my mama's front desk and I'm gonna just do what I got to do and that'll be it, right? But we would have been
exactly.
miserable. I would always choose just this journey through all the no's, through all of the shadiness, through all of the craziness, through all of the incredible pinch me moments. I would always choose this journey. I still choose this journey every single day. And it's not easy, but I'm so grateful. And I know that I'm here for a reason in this journey, in this time, in this moment for a reason. And so I try to remember that in my down times.
I love that. And oftentimes when I talk to people, like understanding why you're here, what you want to do is always evolving. Like you had mentioned the fact that even in media, working in this industry, you got to pivot very often. Where I'm at right now, I would have never, 10 years ago, I would have never even been able to think this would be what I'm doing in my career, even with Black in media, like all of those pieces, it's reflective of your time and where you are in the moment.
Yeah.
But I think it's always helpful for folks to have tools. What tools do you use, or what tools have you used? And it can be one thing or a few things that you would say have helped you. Because I don't want to go too general and be like, necessarily understand your purpose, because you're going to be learning that the rest of your life.
Years, right?
Right. But what tools do you use to kind of make sure you're still staying connected, kind of, in a sense, kind of discovering yourself and just learning more about what moves you in that moment? It's all about what's moving us in the now.
Yeah, for sure. I pay attention to my spirit in major decision-making moments. Because, the life of a freelancer is project to project, right? Like you don't know when the best project of your life could be an email away. You don't know when it's coming. You don't know when that call is coming. You don't know. Like the cool part about freelancing is that you get to make your own schedule, but while you're making your own schedule, bills still happen, honey. And so you got to hustle. You got to do what you got to do. But sometimes, in the meantime, you got to figure out what you'd like to see happen. And it might not be the exact steps. It might not be the exact jobs, because Lord Jesus, when I tell y'all, there is no such thing as a dream job. Every single job that you want is still a job. It's still a part of a pain in somebody's backside. It's still a point of trauma for some people. The best job in the world, you have no idea what that person had to go through to stay there, to sacrifice, to whatever, to deal with red tape. Like there is no dream job. There is your dream and your career and what you want to accomplish and say and do, but not a dream position. Because honey, when you get there, you're going to be like,
Yep.
This is what I slaved for and prayed for. I should have prayed for something bigger. And so that's why that's why I'm always like, there's no such thing. But anyway, the tools that I use to stay in line with what I want to do is just honestly journaling really, really helps. Like being reflective when I do have time to sit back and say, okay, does this align with what I believe as what I'm here to say, what I'm here to do? Is this helping people become the best version of themselves? Is this reminding them of the greatness that already exists inside of them? Is this a great opportunity for me to get into those rooms and network with the people that I know can have those life-changing opportunities within a call to whoever they know, right? Like, so I think you have to be strategic about how you do what you do, stay open to what opportunities do come, but also understand that your career is going to be up to you, and you're going to make a lot of mistakes. It's okay. That's a part of the process. But just notice how your spirit feels when you're on a set and somebody says something crazy to you, and you're like, I don't know. I don't know that we like that. You might have to stay on the set because you signed the contract, but next time out, you'll know I don't like to talk about the Kardashians every 6 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't love to talk about, like, I'd rather talk about Issa Rae's latest deal with Warner. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to mind your spirit, because it is always revealing to you why you were here. It is always telling you exactly what you are here to say and what you are trying to do, what your purpose is. We are all hardwired to do something different. And sometimes it gets overwhelming because it looks like everybody is doing what you want to do, but that's not true. Nobody has your exact experience. Nobody has your sphere of influence. There are hundreds of thousands of incredible hosts everywhere, hundreds of Black women that I love and champion, and I'm so proud of to be in a peer class with. That are like, nobody's me. Okay, nobody's gonna have the jokes, nobody's gonna have the accents, nobody's gonna have my light, you know what I'm saying? Because mine is mine and theirs is theirs. So you have to understand that the girl watching you from your hometown doesn't know about the other 12. She knows about you. And so you're inspiring her to get into her dream and her bag because she's seen you do it. So even if only 300 people follow you, those are 300 people that matter. And you know what else matters? You matter. So if that little girl or little boy or little they or them, because I don't want to get everybody, look, I know we live in a time, I got to get it right, okay?
Okay.
However you identify, especially then, because when we were little, we really knew, exactly what we wanted to be in this world. Remember their dreams. Do it for you, because this is a time of incredible possibility where people are winning all the time. Like I love seeing Mark Phillips, Supreme Dreams, like meet J. Cole after going viral for that J. Cole video, or like him meet LeBron after playing LeBron in all his skits. Just do you. Things are going to come as they should. And, that's what I try to do, is just remember to be reflective and try to tap into my spirit, because it's always unveiling what it is you're trying to do. The task is to not be distracted all the time. And that's, in this internet age, that's very hard. So you do have to do some extra work.
That's real. No. Oh, that was great. I'm sitting here, I'm taking mental notes. I'm like, okay, I wish I could type, but it's a little distracting for me to be typing.
We're gonna do the replay, period.
Look. And I think you have mentioned how, we are all individuals. So you can't base your purpose, or you can't base your career or whatever you see yourself doing off of anything anybody else is doing. Because the way the universe is set up, it's only one path for you, and we all go through ridiculous things to get to where we're supposed to be in most cases.
Yes.
Can you maybe share an instance or a time where you maybe hit a wall or a block? I think it's important for people to realize that we all have tough moments, and you are, like you said, for a lot of people, you are a huge inspiration. An example of being able to really make it, stay authentic, do you. But I think it's important for people to also realize that, as even with what you're doing now, you had rough moments, you had tough times to get there. Can you remember a moment that maybe you felt like a disalignment with your purpose, or you just kind of hit a tough wall, and kind of how you were able to overcome it? Or maybe you didn't. Sometimes we'd be like, okay, this obstacle, let me go this other path. Like, it's time to do something new.
Exactly. Yes, we don't have all the time to talk about all the obstacles, but I'll talk because I think there's this misconception that obstacles stop happening and walls stop coming at some point. And what I've learned, and I think that we get better with dealing with them, but they keep, I know Beyonce runs into walls. I don't know that her walls are the same as my walls, and they probably $1 billion walls, but I know that Beyonce runs into her own creative walls, right? I think, so one of the moments in my life that I really was going to throw in the towel was when you go to journalism school, when we all go to journalism school, they teach you how to be a good reporter. They teach you how to tell a good story and not to have too much opinion, not to have too much, anything on it in old J school terms. They teach you how to report, tell the lead, who, what, where, when, why, and go about your business and get to the next story. When the influencer game changed, it got to the point where now you had to insert not only your opinion, you had to insert, the joke, all the things, right? You had to insert yourself. And for so long, I had learned how to separate and only be worried about being a good journalist and a good role model and a good big sister that I forgot to learn how to just be a good Gia. And so that is one thing that I'm always working on. Like, am I being authentic to myself right now? Because I grew up in a time where, honey, the 90s were different. What we saw was perfection at all times, baby. Yeah. People always are like, I wish Beyonce would share more. She probably doesn't know how to, because back in the day, they only asked you to show up and be cute on your set, do what you do, and that was it. You didn't have to worry about posting, whatever, right? Like, so I learned from the role models how to be a role model, but I never really tapped into myself. So in my 30s, now I'm like, okay, what do I want to say? What do I want to do? And one of those moments that really taught me that I needed to tap into me is I was going out for this incredible job with this really dope streaming company that a lot of people know, but I will not say because still no, we're not. Look, okay, look, that's one of the other tips, honey. Don't burn your bridges while you still making them. It'll be in my book. But anyway.
A word, don't burn your bridges.
Don't burn your bridges while you're still making them, right? Like I'm still building my bridges. Okay.
I love that.
Anyway, it was a major streaming music service. And they were working on developing a podcast around one of a really big like project that they were doing that had to do with, music. So I have been auditioning for like 6 months. They saw every single person in talent in the New York area, in LA, in Atlanta, all over the place. Like, it was like, oh, this is like a major talent search. This was like three years ago. So I'm in my bag at this point. I'm thinking, okay, like I've come quite a long way, and I have been wanting that show or opportunity to help really catapult me into a different level of my career, or a different level in the zeitgeist of popular culture. Like, I wanted that moment. So I was praying for that, and when the opportunity came, I thought this was it. So after months of auditioning, me and a fellow host, male, incredible, one of my faves, we were chosen to be it. We signed these contracts. It's our first time seeing big money. We meet with the presidents, the PR people, the talent bookers are calling us. It's this whole thing. We're going in every week, and we're meeting, and we're doing pilot tests, and we're testing it out, and we're thinking, this is it. This is the moment that's going to change our lives, honey. Here come our Rolls Royces, boo. Not really, but like event. That's what I was thinking. And so
we love a nice.
We love a Rolls.
Love a court.
I love it. And so at this point, we had been signed talent for like 2 months, and it happened in the fall. So there was a Christmas break. So we come back in January, and we've noticed that, there's new producers. Our producing team is not really who we know anymore, and it's all changing. So we still come into the job thinking, hey, like, this is what happens. Shows go through things, iterations happen, whatever. This is cool. So little by little, we start noticing that we're coming in less. Our emails are coming less. Like, our call times are being canceled. And we're just like, have you heard from so-and-so and so-and-so about what's happening with the show? So now we have been signed for about 4.5, 5 months. Right. And we were canceling things based on the days that we record. We were turning down other podcasts because in our mind we had signed an exclusive contract. Around the 5-month mark, we start emailing our producers, and we get bounce back messages, and there's like nothing there, and we're like, hello, what in the world is hello, Mary Poppins, like Jesus, is anyone on the other line? And I'm at All-Star in the last All-Star, the last big one in Chicago. It's freezing and it's gross, and it was everything because I did my first event, and I was so excited for Give You the Game, my YouTube series. I interviewed one of my faves, Jasmine Jordan, who was Michael Jordan's daughter, about the Jordan brand. I had my first All-Star event. It was for women. It was sponsored by Jordan. It was everything. I loved it. And that day I get back to my hotel room, and I get a call from my manager, and she's like, hey, I finally got a call. They canceled the show, and they just feel like it's just not, it's not conducive to the amount of just chefs in the kitchen, way too many teams to try and please off of a 30-minute weekly show. And so they decided to scrap it. They love you. They love everybody, but they just can't do it now. I'm like, whew. Okay, so the billboards and the moment and the 10,000 hours and the trips and the canceled events that I said I wouldn't go to because I was planning to do this, and the hours I spent on my knees praying and crying about opportunities like this would come, and it came, and you're telling me it's not for me, like it's not happening. And she was like, yeah. And I'm like, cool. So in that moment, I'm at All Star. So I was like, honey, I'm going to have to deal with it later because I'm going out. The streets is calling me, period. But
look, the party don't stop.
The party don't stop.
Look.
But when I landed,
God,
it hit me. And so I'm on the phone with my friend who had got the same call. Mm-hmm. And we're like, at first, we went through the stage. I went through the stages of grief. At first, you're angry. You're like, I call the lawyers. Was good. Tell them pull up. We signed a contract with my money. And then you get on the call. You do all of that. Not only do they bring these are billion-dollar streaming brands. They bring lawyers that we have never heard from, ever. 6 of them, 6 white men on a call with me and my lawyer, who is my best friend, who went to Harvard Law. Black woman, we're on there. And they're like, oh, so if you didn't notice, there's a loophole in the contract that says if you did not do the 6th pilot, if it wasn't approved, we do not have to pay you out. So we're going to give you 1% of what the contract promised just because we're nice like that. And we're like, what? We didn't know the last one wasn't approved. And they were like, you could take us to court if you'd like, or you could take this little money and move on.
Damn.
When I tell you, I was ready to throw in the towel. There was I was like, this is so not what I prayed for. God, why? Why do you still have me doing this? It feels like you are torturing me. It really feels like you are playing with my life right now. I don't understand why I'm here. I don't understand why I keep getting right there only to be told no.
Right.
It is one of the most painful things to always get right there only to be told no. It happens. And then those moments, that's when you need your tribe. That's when you need people who understand you more than your feelings and more than the things that are happening in that present moment. And that's when you need your faith. And so I went through one of the worst depressions of my life. My godmother died shortly after. And so it was just a time of sadness. Like I was just not, I was angry. I was sad. I was confused. I was lost. And little by little, I had to tap into the why and the how of if I still had breath in my lungs, if I still had these gifts, if there are still people that are reaching out to me to say that they're inspired by what I do, if there is something there that's bigger than me, then there is something that I need to continue to do. I took my time. I went through my depression. I went through every step of grief to mourn that process. But at the end, I decided I'll be damned if I let one opportunity stop me from the billions of hours in time that I put in to get to this point. It is not worth it. That little thing, whenever they reach back out, I'll triple the rate. People are still there. There's always going to be an opportunity coming for you. And a year and a half later, I signed I got to land an incredible podcast on Urban One Radio Network called More Than That I'm on right now. It's my show. Right. I'm about to share it. And I'm actually having conversations that matter. Like, it's not just about music. It's about creativity. It's about Black wellness. It's about actually helping the people that I come from. Like, I'm learning about my ancestors. I'm learning about freedom and liberation. And I'm learning about why Black women from Black doctors need to stand up for themselves and how to advocate in the birthing room, right? Like, I'm learning about the things that matter, and I'm having conversations that are bigger than music. And I can have conversations about music, but it's bigger than that. It's more than that, if you will. So I trusted the process. It's still one of those things, like, it's painful to talk about because it was one of those moments that I wanted so badly. But I do trust God more than anything else. And I trust his plans for me and his purpose for me and his path for me more than anything else. And, there's just been too many times. That he's been too good. So, yeah, that was one of the biggest things. Like, this industry is heartbreaking. Hunty.
Yeah. It'll put you through.
It'll put you through the ringer and get you back out. And I know we're about to wrap, but I just want to say this last story. One of the things that 2020 gave me was like real time to reflect. We all know that, right? Like it gave real time to reflect. It was one of the biggest, craziest moments ever. And I was having a moment again in 2020 mentally that we all had where I was just like, I don't get it, Lord. All right. And God asked all of us to take our titles off because nothing mattered except for how we showed up, if our family was good, if we were okay, and if we had the blessing of breathing in a clear lung space. Like, it got down to what really mattered. And so I'm cleaning out my phone, and it is November 19th, 2020. And I'm just like, Lord, I don't know what you got me going through. It's one of them hazy moments. So I'm cleaning out my phone, and I find a video of my dad recording me telling my mom about my day. I'm 2 months old, and he had taken me to the newsroom where he worked. And he said in the video, yes, Gia told everybody that she wanted to be a broadcast journalist in the newsroom. And we're so excited and just telling everyone, this is what she's going to be. Gia's going to be a broadcast journalist. I wasn't even in consciousness. I'm 2 months old. Dad was joking, right? Like, so when I look back at that video, when I tell you I cried and I just shook and I just said, thank you, God, for not giving up on me for every single time that I tried to give up on myself, even though this was predestined. Right. You put that into my dad. You gave me my dad so I could be what I needed to be. He didn't care if I was a broadcast and he wouldn't have cared. He didn't force me to be a journalist at all. I wanted to be a vet for the most of my life until I realized you had to go to med school for that. So I was just like, oh Lord, there was always a plan. So if anything, and that's when Romans 8:28 became like my go-to scripture. All things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to plans and purposes. Purposes. Okay.
Listen, folks.
There's a plan, and that's all I gotta say. It's a plan.
Look, we have had our morning devotion.
Hallelujah, Jesus.
That's what this was supposed to be, and I think that the best part of what you said, everything you said was amazing, and thank you for being willing to share that story, and which that's gut wrenching. Even hearing it now. I couldn't imagine being in that situation, but I appreciate you sharing that so people can understand that it's tough. And that's recent. You know what I'm saying? Like it's tough.
Like 3
but that doesn't mean that's not the end. That's not the end. Right. And I think we wanted to do just one question because I know you gotta go.
Yeah, let's do it.
We'll do it's okay. Because I love to talk too. We'd be here all day. But yes, I'm gonna put Brianna, and like I said, Brianna was our programming manager, and she helped pull all of this together. Literally could not have done this without her. And she's gonna handle like the Q&A part of all of our panels and chats today.
Perfect.
Oh,
all right.
Okay.
Hi, girl. Get into the beat.
Well, hi everyone. So thank you so much for joining. I have one question. The question is, how do you break the mold, especially when your company wants to only share urban stories? I know you mentioned like Kim Kardashian and constantly having to talk about those kind of things. So how do you break the mold?
I'm confused on the question. How do you break the mold inside of your newsroom if that's what they talk about?
Yeah, I assume so. I guess like when you constantly have to tell the story of like gossip and things like that, like how do you get out of doing that consistently, I guess?
You leave. If you're in a newsroom that's about gossip and entertainment and clickbait and headlines and shade, that is what's succeeding right now. And that's what you're going to have to continue to do. And I have been there. I worked at a startup years ago that I'm pretty sure was a front for some type of international illegal business. But anyway, I worked there and it's no longer in the thing, but all they cared about was clickbait. They didn't care. I could have literally wrote the Latin things that come up as placeholders. They didn't care about any of it as long as it was there. And my editor, what was trending at the time was Tiny's eye surgery. And my editor made me write 10 pieces questioning Tiny's eye surgery, if Zanique would get it, if so-and-so and so-and-so, like, what is it going to make them go blind? When I tell you, I do not care.
Yeah.
It was my job at that moment and I hated it. And she wouldn't let me write like staff. It said my name next to it. And so when I realized that I was no longer able to do that job because I knew for a fact I didn't want to write that piece, it was belittling to my talent and belittling to what I'm here for, to continue to gossip about things that really don't matter. I made an exit plan. And on the back end, while I had to do those annoying 10 articles, I was also developing a YouTube channel for them where I could actually go to red carpets. And that's how I got a lot of the clips for my reel for interviewing people at the same time. So if you are in that newsroom, is there an opportunity where you can do something on the back end that, you might have to stay 2 extra hours, but utilize their resources and their brand name to understand how to create space in the lane that you do want to take up space in. So that article or whatever you have to talk about might be the annoying part of your job. But if you have bills and you're not ready to leave, find a pocket, find a producer, find somebody that is going to be able to help you talk about what it is you want to talk about, utilizing the space that you are in right now. There has to be a way. There's always a way. When we worked at Hot 97 and we started Black Girl Podcast, that had nothing to do with our day jobs of what we were doing. Nothing. I was working for Ebro as the managing editor of blameebro.com. Safira was in the digital office working for WBLS. Bex was the head of production. Scotty was the morning show assistant in general and did promotions and all different types of things. And Alicia was a videographer. But when 7 o'clock hit and we all had an hour, we went to go use that studio and we developed Black Girl Podcast, right? Like there is a way. There is always a way to utilize the resources and understand what this moment is teaching you. I won't do it. And now, ask me to, I'm not writing it. Ask me to say it. I'm not saying it. So whatever it is that's getting on your nerves is developing your voice and is teaching you what you do and don't want to say. And also find that loophole to do what it is you really want to do. And even if it's in a baby and small way, find it. Even if that's just developing great relationships with PR people, find it because it's there.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for answering that question. I hope that it helped them. And thank you so much for joining us.
Of course, I'm so proud of you. If y'all do want to ask me more questions, please, social media, my social is right there at Gia Peppers. And also I have a YouTube series called Give You the Game, but I also do free game Fridays and things like that on my Instagram. So if you follow me, I can answer more of your questions on those. And I also have a newsletter that I'm always answering people's questions from. So you can also email me at oheygia@giapeppers.com if you have more questions, and I might be able to get some inspo and have a whole newsletter dedicated to you and your question too. And that newsletter community is also growing, and I'll be doing more one-on-one things. I'm not going to say one-on-one. One on several, because so many people reach out to me all the time about these things. It's too much. More virtual moments where we can, create space for us in media, especially young Black women, to just Ask.
Right.
But sometimes you just need somebody to say, girl, you're doing okay. You're doing a good job. Keep going.
Perfect. Well, Gia, you gave us the Gia today, all right? It's the Gia for me, as the kids say. I thank you. This is exactly what I was hoping that this morning session would be. I hope everybody that tuned in, you walked away a little bit prouder, your head held a little up higher, realizing that where you are now is not where you're going to forever be. And there's something deeper pushing you. Like, you always have to remember, like, keep that tie to whatever your faith is, however you define faith. Keep that in mind, because that is what's going to keep you empowered, specifically as a Black person in the media industry. But yes, Gia shared, like I said, I have her socials down in the bottom section of the screen, underneath the video. She told you how to you better sign up for that newsletter. I know that much. Sign up for her newsletter, hit her up, hit the email.
I shared her YouTube page in the chat, so you can subscribe to that.
Okay, perfect.
And subscribe to my YouTube, but also, I just want to say this last thing before I leave. If you don't know your purpose, do not be freaked out, and do not try to spend all your energy doubting yourself because you don't know it. Your purpose is unfolding, and you are learning what you need to know so it can be clear for you. You might not be able to define your purpose now, but even if there's an inkling of something that you like, notice that, because it's the wiring, it's the gifts, it's the passions, it's all of those things that define your purpose. And it's this lofty conversation that we are always having. If I don't know my purpose, I can't do anything. No, you're great where you are right now, and your purpose is unfolding in front of you. Just continue to do your work, do your assignment, do what you're here to do, and reflect on what happens when you feel good, because you're probably going to find your purpose in those moments.
I love that.
I love that.
That's a closing note right there for the people. Well, thank you for giving us your morning. I hope that everyone enjoyed this conversation, and you can stay on because we'll keep rolling in this space to the next panels and the next chats. And yeah, good morning, happy Black and Media Day, and be sure to post your information. I'm going to pin the link to everything you need to know if you don't have the graphics. But thank you, Gia, and you have
Bye, guys.
Friday.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. All right.